If you're thinking about taking down that load-bearing wall, listen close. There are 3 things that you really need to consider if you think you're just going to tear down that wall. Let's go. The first thing that we need to do is determine if it actually is a load-bearing wall. So if you have a floor plan that's shaped like this, sort of long and thin, odds are there's going to be a load-bearing element running in the long direction like that. In this case, we have one consistent wall that runs the whole length. That would be the load-bearing wall. So let's say we want to remove these 2 short walls from the kitchen here and replace it with a beam and a column at each end. Those columns need to transfer their load all the way down to some stable earth or footing. So if we transfer those point loads down to the basement, you can see that they might miss that beam or those columns that we have down in the basement. You are allowed an offset. So if that load-bearing wall on the first floor doesn't directly align with the steel beam, your structure is fine. But now when you go to put your new columns under your new beam, that point load might miss and you may have to add another beam or footings or something to deal with. And finally, those walls could be full of MEP. So just keep in mind that it might be more than a structural challenge to take down a wall. You may have to reroute a whole bunch of things. So what Wendell and I are saying here is removing a load-bearing wall is definitely not a do-it-yourself project. Call a professional. Start with an architect. Start with an engineer. My goodness, don't just start ripping out walls. I have a whole other story that I could probably share with that. Right, Wendell?